Welcome to Makin' It, a podcast where dreamers are catching their dreams. This is your host, James Demarco. Sit back and get inspired to make it happen. Welcome, everyone, to this episode of Makin' It. Today, we're going to make it happen with my friend and International Coaching Federation MCC level life coach, Rob Michelucci. Hey, Rob.
Hey, how are you, James?
Great. Thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
It's exciting. So in my last episode, I spoke about my life coach that I had, and I thought it was important for listeners out there to really get a handle on what a life coach does and how it can help them make their dreams come true and to get courageous and take those leaps, and also the obstacles that your clients might face in making their dreams come true. So tell me a little bit about your journey in making this dream of yours to be this life coach for the past 9 years a reality.
Sure. I worked in financial services for over 20 years. And some years ago, I don't know, almost 15 years ago, I started to feel like something was missing from my career. Like I wasn't doing all that I was meant to be doing, called to be doing. And I tried to ignore that feeling, but that, I'm sure you know, doesn't work. And so it got bigger and louder until I felt like I had to go on this sort of journey to figure out what was missing. So I did a lot of stuff to try and figure it out and sort of meet the universe. You know, I took a lot of personality instruments, Myers-Briggs, Clifton Strengths, Pathfinder, Discovery Insights, a lot of those. I journaled. I kept track of what gave me energy and what sort of zapped my energy. That was pretty insightful. And then some really pivotal things happened. But the summary of it really is that I just paid attention to circumstances and people that were drawn to me. And I realized that many times through the years, people I didn't know very well would open up to me in conversation. They would leave conversations with clarity, and I would never give them advice. And so I thought, what is that called? What is happening in that exchange, that interaction, or what is it about me? And that is when I looked into coaching as a career, as a profession. I enrolled in an ICF graduate coaching program, and I knew after the first weekend of that program, that was it. That was the thing that I could do for people. So the last 9 years, I have transitioned my career so that I'm coaching all the time. So I have a strong sense of calling to help people realize their potential. So I always say coaching found me.
That's true. Your calling does find you however it happens. Yeah. Whatever you're meant to be doing, you're meant to be doing. Right. And I always tell people about the signs, to look for the signs along the way. So you took all those Myers-Briggs tests. I did that as well years ago. Most of them confirmed the careers that I've already chosen. So do you give those tests to your current clients as well if they're struggling to find their passion, if they're stuck in a 9-to-5 job?
Yep. That is one entry point that can help, like with a puzzle piece to what might be fulfilling for someone. I never would recommend one inventory as sort of the be-all, end-all. And some, of course, are more scientific and some are less, but that's one puzzle piece. So that is a puzzle piece that I will sometimes employ with clients.
Okay. And as far as your clients go in your coaching business now, so you took that leap and you, did you have any obstacles along the way when you went into coaching?
Gosh.
And what did you do for yourself as far as keep going? Because this is what you really knew was your calling.
Sure. Well, the first obstacle was a lack of clarity around what was missing and what I was supposed to be doing. And so that is the journey that I just described. So I really do believe that it starts with vision. You know, some clients I work with will have a very clear vision of who they want to be and where they want to go and maybe just not know how to get there. And
right.
Other clients will, like I did, have a sense that something is off, something is missing, but not know what that is. And so we'll do a little work up front to help get there. And some of that entry point work could be a closed eye visioning exercise. It could be values work. It could be, I heard you mention in your first podcast episode, vision boards.
Yes.
And that's the thing I really like about coaching. Any tool, that I might ask a client if they're interested in hearing about will also be evidence based. So I'm not just going to tell you, let's talk about vision boards and affirmations. I might say, hey, there's a professor at MIT, Dr. Tara Swart. She's written a wonderful book called The Source about why these things work. So that's also what I love about coaching. It's sort of evidence-based.
It's evidence-based, yes.
Yeah.
And it's almost like a branch of, it's how psychology should have been, really, in a way. And I'm a psychology proponent. I've had therapists.
Sure, absolutely.
But the coaching is actually what helped me to transform. So what do you think is the biggest obstacle then that most of your clients and that you see in the world might have to really finding what they're meant to be doing and what their calling is that's going to really make them happy?
I see maybe three obstacles commonly: lack of clarity, lack of focus, and lack of time. So that's what I typically see.
Okay. Clarity, focus, time. That's powerful. So you said that clarity, you might have them, close their eyes and do an envisioning. I did a vision board. You might refer them to a program or a podcast or something to watch to help them, or they might take these aptitude tests that are out there. Is there anything else to gain clarity?
Yeah. So any tool that I might have in my toolbox, coaches have a lot of tools, but those tools I would call secondary, because coaching is really about, and I know you know this from experience, helping someone tap into their own wisdom and resourcefulness. It's really about holding space and asking the question.
Sure.
And yeah, those entry points can also include some values work. So sometimes when I'm working with a client, it's like, well, when's the last time you really assessed what your values are?
Yeah.
Step one, and then step two, are you living in alignment with them? Because if there's a convergence, great. What's the next step? And if there's a divergence, okay, what does that tell you? What's the next step? So we could do some of that. We do, both analytical and intuitive work. So if a client's coming to me and they're very analytical, I might help them tap into their intuition a little more and say, okay, well, maybe we could get out of your head. Where do you feel it in your body when you think about these different personalities?
Yes.
And conversely, if a client's really intuitive, I might say, okay, well, what's the logic of it? So it's also, I see a coach's job to help someone use more of themselves, all of themselves, to make decisions.
It's customizable. You're customizing it according to their needs, and that's the beauty of coaching.
Yeah.
And the last thing was time. And I know time is such a constriction because I feel like most people get stuck in that 9-to-5 job to pay their bills, and they get frustrated. Some people are single, some people have a family, and some people are working multiple jobs.
Right.
So time is always a factor into finding what your real passions are. Would you say that once people find their true values and gain that clarity, then they're able to make a little bit of time to pursue that dream?
Not necessarily.
I would say
it takes some applied effort to make that time and prioritize that time. We are just distracted, right? It's 2024. It's been this way for some time now. Probably as we're doing this, we're getting text messages, phone calls, Slacker Teams messages, emails, multiple devices. It just never stops. So there does have to be a proactive effort to cultivate silence.
Yeah.
Cultivate, to see what will emerge. And a tool that I love and many clients I coach love is a tool called the Eisenhower Matrix. I think the Wikipedia article calls it the Eisenhower Matrix. The Franklin Covey organization, Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and more recently, the Franklin Covey organization with the book called The 5 Choices, will show this matrix with a 4-box matrix to sort of quadrant time and really help you identify what's the most valuable what are the most valuable things you could be doing and valuable ways you could be spending your time. So sometimes that can be a nice entry point for helping someone. Okay, how important is this to you?
Yeah.
Okay, and then how do we proactively block out the time and then sort of let everything else kind of fall around it? Now, this is really nice for me to sit here and say, accurate.
Right.
People have so many demands, but that's where the partnership and the work comes in.
Okay. It's a true collaboration then with coaching.
Absolutely.
As far as the time goes, I have seen, I think people do get distracted, and a lot of it is I think people are in such a hypnotic state in living their everyday life that they never know what they really want, what they're really doing. It's like robotic. It's like that commercial from Dunkin' Donuts. It's time to make the donuts. I feel like that's how they get in that rut. And not everybody, like, I'm creative, so it's easier for me to have a passion and to understand what I want from a child. But not everybody, like you said, you have analytical clients and you do business coaching. So you have a whole different side of the brain that you're dealing with. And some people need the facts, the security, the safety, when they're making those choices. So when you do your sessions, are they normally like a half an hour long, or are they customizable as well?
They are customizable. I am a contract coach with several different amazing platforms, and I have my own private practice. And depending on the platform, they might be a certain amount of time. But typically, a coaching session will range from 30 to an hour, and most are 30 to 45 minutes.
Okay. And for the general person, I guess it depends on the level that they're at with having that clarity and time to commit to a coaching program. So it changes, I assume, for every person.
It does. There has to, I tell everyone during the first session, generally, bring your openness and your curiosity. I really believe everyone can be coached. It's also not always the right time for everyone. So
Okay.
there does have to be a commitment on the client's part, and certainly, just like anything, what you put into it is gonna determine what you get out of it.
Of course. And like you said, that's great that you could pick it up, because you might start with a client today, but they might have an obstacle that comes up like we all do, and they might have to pick it up at a later time. Is there anything that you could recommend just in general for listeners at home to do, just while they're watching TV or at their office, to maybe get some clarity?
Absolutely. I think a great entry point is just, you can call it journaling if you want to, and there are some great benefits of journaling, sort of getting things out of your head, seeing them in front of you. I would just say, keep track a couple of times a week, even at the end of the day, like 5 minutes or less. Keep track of the things that energized you that day and the things that sort of zapped your energy, that drained your energy. And that can be really, really, really insightful. You can see patterns over time, and that might help lead you to more of the things that you want to be doing, that you're meant to be doing, that you're called to be doing.
Right. Of course. And then that also, I guess a lot of people have relationship issues as well, if they're married, dating. Have you seen that this also helps with the clarity about the environment that they're in, whether it supports them or not in these steps that they need to take or want to take in pursuing new dreams?
Absolutely. So I'm a life coach. So any topic that someone brings to coaching, that's what we coach around. The gap between where you are and where you want to be in any area of your life. Now, you mentioned therapy earlier. I am not a therapist. I have a great degree of respect for the profession. I got an undergrad in psych. I think where you see maybe the therapy and coaching worlds meet more and more is in a discipline called positive psychology, that I
Yes.
believe comes to us out of the University of Pennsylvania. That's very future focused and amazing. So I'm saying this because I know my limitations as a coach as well. So we can absolutely talk about relationships. But if I feel, and in this partnership that we're delving into therapy territory, I'm going to recommend, or ask the client if they might be open to talking to a licensed professional.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I'm not against psychologists, psychiatrists. There's a time and place. I can only
Yeah.
speak. I could speak for myself though. As far as these main life issues, coaching for me is what gave me the breakthrough.
That's awesome.
And the psychology part was really about more if I needed medication, and that's where like psychiatry comes into play.
Psychiatry, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's all different psychologists because there's so many different.
Right.
It's segmented, but I feel like everything is just more coming together now, and one leads into another. And the positive psychology is amazing.
Yeah.
I took a certification class at the University of Penn in 2020 for the positive psychology. Yeah. I was going to do the master's degree in that. It's a ton of money. And
the MAP program. Yeah.
It's a ton, it's almost $100,000 for 1 year. So, and it wasn't something that aligned with, it didn't provide me with any type of licensure, to practice psychology. So I didn't feel that it was a good fit. I felt that I learned what I needed to learn in the certification I did. So that was amazing.
Coaching is definitely for me. I have a good number of clients that also see a therapist. And of course, the two can work really well together, coaching and therapy.
I haven't seen that, but do you have clients where the coach and the therapist do converse?
No, the coach and the therapist don't converse, but I have clients who tell me they're also seeing a therapist.
Okay.
So they use one to complement the other.
So do they see the therapist, I'm curious, for more psychological issues, traumas?
Sometimes traumas, sometimes just life issues. I mean, therapy is a great place for looking back, understanding why things went down the way they did, understanding the past as best you can in order to heal from it and move on. Now, the moving on part, of course, is part of therapy, and that's where a good therapist will also put on that skill hat of coaching and use the skill of coaching. Now, coaching is exclusively future focused. Who do you want to go? Where do you want to be? What do you want to be able to say within a given time frame? Now, if the past comes up in coaching, I might ask, well, okay, how has this served to move you forward?
Sure.
So there is a distinction, but to your point, and one is clinically, regulated, one is not, which is why it is important to seek out a credentialed coach. But more and more, we do see the worlds coming together, which I think is a wonderful thing.
It is. I think the future is bright. Do you feel that more and more people, because I said in my last, are moving into this space of personal freedom, empowerment?
Absolutely. I mean, look at the market of coaching apps that just exist, and therapy apps.
Yes. Yeah.
I absolutely feel that people are, and people are putting, and rightfully so, an increased emphasis on mental health, which is so important. And, that's been happening for several years. And perhaps COVID sort of opened the, Pandora's box to really help us look inward and focus on our mental health. That is also a tremendous thing.
So the three main things to take these leaps that people really need, that I'm taking away from what you said today, is clarity, values, and time.
Focus.
Yeah. Focus.
Clarity, focus, and time. And
clarity.
Values might be a part of this, depending on the entry point. Yeah.
Okay. Now, where can listeners find you?
Oh, I have a Michelucci.coach is my site, MICHELUCCI, and I am only on LinkedIn and Instagram. My Instagram handle is @Michelucci.
Great. Thank you, Rob. And Rob is a great coach. I recommend him. We met over Instagram through coaching and through our love for Madonna.
Yes, we did. Yeah.
And we met up in Pittsburgh, which is just a great city where Rob is based. But of course, you do your coaching as well on Zoom, I assume.
I do, and really, it's almost exclusively on Zoom or the various platforms that I coach with now. Yeah.
Great. So listeners out there, you could still, get that clarity and focus on Zoom if you want. You don't have to go in person if you're constricted with time. So check out Rob and his Instagram and pop him an email if you want some coaching to make it happen, to make those dreams come true. Yeah. So thanks for joining me today, Rob. And this was just great.
Thanks. This is good. Thank you so much for having me. I think this podcast is amazing. Just various people talking about their journeys and how they made their dreams come true. I think it's good. Like there's something called rippling, right? Like you never know how many people you're going to impact. This is going to impact so many people. So kudos to you.
Thank you. Thank you. It is important because I always feel that we're all on this journey together. So we all need to help each other. And if my journey and your journey can inspire, then that's, like you said, it's a domino ripple effect.
Mm-hmm. That's my high dream for everyone that I coach is that they are doing the thing that fulfills them, that sets them on fire, that makes their heart sing. That is, that's my that's what I say, like, universe, use me to help this person move themselves forward in this way.
That is amazing. So we're going to end on that. Universe, use me. Everybody out there, that is your homework. Journal, as Rob said, and see what comes up, see what makes you happy and burns that fire in you, and say, universe, use me, direct me to where I need to go. Amen.
Right on.
Thanks for joining me on this episode of Making It. I'm your host, James Demarco. Keep dreaming, and I'll see you next time.